Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome. My name is Rachel and I'm here every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, live from the Facebook group Seize Your Passion. Really just thinking out loud with you guys and sharing with you my thoughts for the week, my lessons of the week, my growth for the week, my aha moments for the week, and the stuff that I've been working on to seize my passion and achieve that personal growth and fulfill all my dreams and basically just work on constantly becoming the best version of myself that I can be, which is everything Seize Your Passion is all about, right? Fulfilling your dreams, becoming your true and authentic best self, and thereby achieving personal growth in the process. So this week, I want to talk about what that means, that personal growth that is really at the heart of what Seize Your Passion and fulfilling your dreams and becoming your best self is all about. Because I realized this week an important lesson, and I say this a lot of the most profound lessons that we learn are not new, are not novel ideas, are lessons that maybe we have learned in the past and forgotten and need to relearn, or things we've heard in the past, but for whatever reason we weren't at a place where it really sunk in, and we implemented those lessons. And this is an example of one of them, and that is that personal growth, any growth and progress in life, in achieving your dreams and fulfilling your goals, is not a steady linear climb. Life is not linear like that. And hey, Thomas Taylor. And progress is not linear. And certainly we as human beings are not, our growth is not linear. So I'm going to start with, I was thinking about this week, and as I think about what my lessons of the week are in preparation for these live streams, I always do a little research and read some stuff about the topic. And I found this blog post that really, really spoke to me and really was relevant. Hey, Tom. And really was relevant to this topic of that growth is not linear. And the cliche of 2 steps forward, 1 step back is so true. And we have to remember that. So I'm just going to start by reading a little bit from this because it really spoke to me about this topic. So she starts by saying, if I were to look back at my life, I'd notice a pattern of events and feelings resembling the activity of an EKG monitor. For every peak, there's been a valley. For every leap forward, there's been a stumble backward, sometimes just an inch, and other times what seemed like miles. And recognizing this and realizing that progress is not about a steady, consistent ascent toward perfection really changed my mindset, is what she's saying. And this is exactly what I'm trying to talk about. This is exactly how I feel. She goes on to say, if I struggled with something I'd struggled with before, I felt I'd somehow failed. If I experienced a personal or professional setback, I thought I'd done something wrong. See, growing to me meant, and this is in the past, and this is how I was thinking about it, and I had to remind myself not to think about it this way. Growing to me meant always doing and feeling better than I did the day before. But I realized that that's not growth at all. And when I believed it was, growth wasn't actually what I was seeking. I was seeking permanently better. I wanted persistent happiness, a reprieve from difficult, overwhelming feelings, and a sense that every day of my life I was 1 inch closer to the ideal. Now, that is dangerous territory. And the reason for that is because if you are trying to achieve personal growth, or fulfill a dream, or become your best self, a big part of that requires a mindset of every day consistently working on becoming better, right? That's what growth is. Every day, in fact, Tom, you're here. I remember we had a discussion a few days ago, I think, where you said, just 1% better every single day. If I can just do one thing 1% better than I did yesterday, then that's part of the journey and the mindset needed to attain that personal growth, right? Every day a little bit better. And while that's 100% true because you're focused on constantly becoming better and evolving and growing, you have to remember that in order to actually achieve that and in order to actually grow, the true definition of growth entails sometimes taking a step backwards. And it's not a consistent, persistent, every day, always doing better. Sometimes, in order to do better in the long run and achieve that end result that you're looking for and achieve that growth, you have to step backwards. And you know, there's actually, this ties in a little bit to John Assaraf, who does a lot of mindset, positive thinking stuff. He's a thought leader in this space. He does a lot of brain neuro research and stuff. And he made the analogy, and it relates to this, to a car engine when you're driving a stick shift car, right? When you go from first gear to second gear, you do that in order to accelerate your speed, right? But in fact, what happens when you upshift, when you go from first gear to second and then to third, fourth, etc., as you increase your speed, the engine actually, with each upshift of that gear, the engine actually slows down and works less hard. And I thought that analogy, that analogy really worked for me, because if you think of yourself and your mindset as that engine, then sometimes in order to accelerate your speed and achieve your results faster and better, you actually have to slow down your own engine, right? And you have to remember that sometimes you need to slow down and take a step backwards or maybe 2 steps backwards. And that actually will help you move forward ultimately faster and better. And it's a tough thing to do because when you're working on fulfilling a dream or achieving a goal or bettering yourself and becoming better every day, when you have those setbacks, even if you're not consciously deciding to take a step backwards, because that's how life operates, right? It'll throw you a setback and you'll have moments of discouragement and failures. When you're in that moment of the setback, you feel you're focused on, you forget that that's the definition of, that's where you're actually doing your most growth. Here, I think this is another part of that really says it best. It's often, and again, this is not anything novel, but sometimes the greatest lessons are lessons that we have to relearn or remind ourselves of. So it's often in our struggles that we stretch and come to better understand ourselves. They're part of the growth process, not a departure from it. So taking a step backwards or something happening that is a step backwards or feels like a failure is actually bettering your growth and is actually an integral part of what real growth means. If you were consistently every day to just in a linear fashion without any peaks and valleys, but just constantly linear, consistently focusing on, okay, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be better, you're not actually growing, because part of the definition of growth is going through those struggles and coming out of them and taking a step backwards in order to take the 2 steps forwards. So we grow when we do our best to learn from and move beyond our challenges instead of obsessing over them and making ourselves feel stuck. This may sound simple, but for a long time, it was really hard for me to wrap my head around this idea, mainly because of all the messy emotions that came up when I thought I messed up, right? It's really hard when you're in that moment of struggle and those steps backwards to remember that this is actually part of the process of your growth. So just like a muscle needs to tear in order to grow stronger, sometimes we need to wade into our own darkness to find a brighter light. And for me this week, again, this really touched home because when you're focused on a very specific goal or trying to make a dream a reality or focused on every day being 1% better than you were yesterday, you're focused on that end result. and you want to constantly be making progress. But the very definition of progress and the very definition of growth just naturally entails taking a step backwards sometimes, and it's not linear. You know, it's peaks and valleys and ups and downs, and from those moments of downs, from those struggles, that's actually where you achieve the most growth. Because when you come out of those valleys, and you come out of those struggles, if you don't focus on, oh, I failed, but rather, okay, now how am I going to overcome this? Or how did I overcome this? And what lessons have I learned? And maybe I need to slow down my engine in order to accelerate my end result, and my speed in getting to where I want to get to, which is becoming my best self and achieving all my goals and fulfilling all my dreams. Hi, Natalie. Hi, Susan. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Thomas. I never call you Thomas. Hi, Tom. And hi, E. Diamond Elner. That's really it. I really just, it's a cliche, and often the cliches are, they're cliches for a reason, because they're really very, very true. Sometimes it's about one step forward, two steps back. And sometimes life forces you to take those two steps backwards in order to take that step forward. But sometimes if you're aware of that, and if you remember that the true growth and part of the true definition of growth is the peaks and valleys and not a linear, straight, consistent line, then you can actually control when and how you take those steps backwards. And they're not, backwards. They're actually, again, I love the analogy of John Assaraf, which is, slowing down your internal engine in order to actually ultimately accelerate your growth. And not only, yes, thank you, Susan, challenges can be stepping stones. Not only can they be stepping stones, I think they are the definition of growth. If you're not struggling, and if you don't go through those challenges, then you're not growing. And again, it's tricky because personal growth is about working on consistently being better every single day. But part of that being better every single day is sometimes taking a step backwards, or going through those struggles and those challenges. So they're not only stepping stones. I think they're an integral key part of the growth process. And it sucks when you're in them, and it's hard to remember that. But that's exactly my aha moment this week, is while you're going through those struggles, is not to focus on the overwhelming feelings of discouragement and failure and everything else that comes with tough challenges in life, but to remember that, okay, this is actually what I want, because this means I'm actually growing. This is part of the growth. And if I didn't go through this, there's no way I would actually ever end up reaching that end goal, because that's not how it works. Growth is not linear. Life is not linear. We as people are not linear. And you have to go through the peaks and valleys to reach the top of that mountain. Yeah. So that's it. That was my aha moment this week. And it was a big one. And it's an important one. And I hope it speaks to you, and maybe you could apply it to your life and your goals and your dreams and becoming your best self every day. That's it. Thanks for being here. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'm turning 40 tomorrow. I had to say that. Seize your passion. Bye, guys.